Let's go king f5 here. I've got a great king. Can't push the pawn. That's why this pawn structure is so bad, because of en passant. And I have rook c4 next move to attack the pawn on f4. Okay, we do the glitch move en passant. Oh, Smurf try into play Hikaru 400. Yes, new account. Okay. Let's go a6 here. But I think getting actual sponsors is the single most important thing. Because I think the reason chess has not moved forward, you guys, I'll tell you this is I think the reason chess is not like fresh with new ideas and so forth is because most of the people who've had creative ideas to try and push the game forward, generally speaking, they're very talented, they're very smart, and they get better offers in other sectors or whatever you want to call it, where they can go and where they can go and make more money, they can have more influence and so forth. Well, I'll give you an example, Giorgio. So I'll talk about someone who sort of stayed in the chess world a little bit. This guy by the name of Maurice Ashley. I mean, if you follow chess, you obviously know who he is. I'm gonna play e6 here, start developing my bishops, developing my knights. So this guy Maurice Ashley, and he started this millionaire chess tournament it was in Las Vegas in 2014, 15, and 16, I believe is when it was held. So he held this tournament in Vegas. Very fun event. They tried to he tried to have a bigger prize fund where the first prize was $100,000. And I won one of those years, so of course I'm very happy about that. But he tried to organize these events, and the caveat to having the events was that the entry fee was very large. And for the first like year and a half, 2 years, they kind of were struggling trying to get past a certain point, but they were unable to. And eventually the whole thing folded and collapsed. But like Maurice had that idea. He had another idea where he had a blitz tournament somewhere as well, I recall, with a different format too. Sorry, I'm just trying to recall it in my brain now. I'm like trying to visualize the event. I'm kind of struggling to pull it in my memory bank. But anyway, the thing is, he had a lot of creative ideas, but then they failed, and then at some point he stopped trying to innovate, because obviously he tried. There was very little support from the chess community at that time. I mean, people were happy to see events happen and so forth, but there was no like real push or support, and that's just like one example of where that's the case. I'm gonna play knight f6 here. My idea is maybe to play b4, remove the knight. There are plenty of other people I know who are around master level who had certain ideas for like getting sponsorship, or changing the way that chess is viewed on TV, or I guess on TV at the time, because the internet wasn't really a big thing back then. But there were people I know who did that, and of course several of those people I knew, they ended up going into tech and obviously doing things that are far more relevant. So I feel like in chess there's also this issue with the brain drain as well. Let's go bishop c5. Attack on the diagonal. Again, I'm developed, so I'm ready to castle next move. It's all pretty good. Ethereum is now 4K. Yes, I did see that. There's going to be a short-term pump, I'm sure. There's going to be a short-term pump there's going to be a short-term pump because of the ETF, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there's going to be some kind of short-term pump. I don't know how high it's going to go, but there's definitely going to be a pump. Okay. I can just take the pawn here on e4. I think I will just take with the bishop and just take with the knight. Okay, now I want to castle here. I think king h1 is a good move, by the way. Steps out of the pin, so I'm just going to castle here, finish my development. Let's just take with the bishop. There's two things you need to drive any industry in the long run: demand and ability to monetize that demand, or you'll have nothing. Well, like I said, I mean, the chess world's done a terrible job monetizing. I've said it before, but one thing that I think throughout my entire chess career that's always like kind of confused me is that I don't know. I mean, I don't know how often it is, but I'm gonna bet that, like, I don't really watch TV now, but TV, internet ads, whatever. Well, I guess internet ads is different because of course they're targeted, so it's quite different. But I remember when I was like growing up, and even maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, there was a period when I was just watching CNBC every morning at like 6:30 or 9:30, sorry. And I remember, like, I would just like turn on CNBC or watching TV shows or whatever it was, and the amount of times that you saw chess in these various things was insane, just insane. And so the way that chess is out there in the public consciousness, it always confused me how it was that chess never really, they were never sponsored things, because it was just so out there. Let's play rook d8. Like, I swear, like, every time in like probably 2018, 19, anytime that I turn on CNBC and I saw some kind of like insurance ad, like probably like 30-40% of the time there was a chessboard or chess was in it in some way for like strategy, or even like, you know, long-term life planning and all these other things. Like it was I swear, like the number of times I saw chess like was like insane. It was just insane. Let's stay with a pawn here. Okay, now I'm gonna go rook c8 here. I'm up a pawn again. I'm happy to trade down since I have an extra pawn. I've got 7 versus 6. He also has a weak pawn here on c2, which I can go after, but he wants to maybe go after my queenside pawns, so I should be a little bit careful. I mean, there are articles attacking PogChamp's success. No wonder they don't get any sponsor. Well, Cabal, that's why I made that hot take about age mattering, because I feel like a lot of chess world has this mentality from years gone by. Okay, let's go queen b2 and attack both pawns here. Important to try and go after this before he can eat my 2 pawns on the queen side. Yeah, it's just a symbol. No one's interested in pro chess. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm the idiot. Maybe you're just right about that. Maybe it's just naive to think like that. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like chess is such a great game, and there's so much you can learn from it. Okay, goes a4. I'll take the pawn. I'm gonna take back. I'll take the pawn on c2 again. We have what? We've got 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, we're up 2 pawns. 2 is a big number now. You're not naive. People, past years have shown people are interested. There's a lot of interest. Yeah, I mean, again, who knows? But what I would also say as well is that I've been you know, I've been in the chess world a long time now. I'm gonna go rook c8. You know, this thing actually, if I think about it, I mean, I know I'm not crazy old. I'm only 34, but honestly, I've been in the chess world realistically since I was about 10 years old, since I got to masters. So even for me, I've been in the chess world like 25 years. So think about people who are like 60 or something. I mean, they've been in the chess world for like 50 years. Like it's pretty nuts. But yeah, I would say though that since I've been around for so long, yeah. thank you for that. Hey W. Since I've been around for like so long in the chess world, I've actually seen some of the booms and busts. And the thing that I would say is, just to talk briefly about them, it feels like all the issues that have happened within the chess world for why booms have never been sustainable have been self-inflicted. To be very clear, it's not like there's something wrong with the game or something like that, but it's always been self-inflicted. So the 2 examples I'll give you guys, I'll start with the first one, which is of course in the mid 90s, as most people know. Actually, sorry, I should not assume that people know these things. My apologies for the assumption. But as people may or may not know, there was a period when Intel was a very big sponsor of chess. There was an Intel PCA Grand Prix event. They had a series of, I think, like 5 or 6 events of rapid chess. That's where the Maurice Ashley clip comes from of the Anand game, I believe. So there was a series of events, and basically what happened is that Kasparov, I don't know exactly what he did, but he found a way to piss off Intel, and Intel was like, we don't want to have anything to do with these chess players or these chess events, and that's what happened. So like that was one example of where like it was self-inflicted. It was completely self-inflicted wound, I guess you could say, or I mean, it's not even a wound, it's just like death basically. But self-inflicted, that's one example of where there was a lot of stuff. There were a lot of events. You had serious sponsors and so forth. But then you move. Let's move on. So that's one example. We can move on to the next one, which is so in 2002 or 2001, there was this organization founded in Seattle called America's Foundation for Chess. They were founded by this entrepreneur, Eric Anderson, who loved the game of chess. He worked at some like consulting firms, you know, hedge funds, etc. I think he works at Topgolf now. Very nice guy, someone that I have a lot of respect for. And so he started this America's Foundation for Chess. Yasser was involved, by the way, for those of you who are wondering, since it was Seattle, the Yasser Seirawan. He also was sort of an advisor, helped them out a lot. And so they did this. They held some US-China matches in the early 2000s. I think the ambassador to China came to a couple of those events. There was an event in Seattle. There was also an event in Shanghai as well. So there were some great events. Additionally, they held the US Championship and the US Women's Championship. So it starts to sound a little bit like what's going on right now with Rex Singfield. I'm going to go here, move the king up, and try to win this end game. Actually, I'll let my time run down while I finish the story. So he's very into chess. They held the US Championship, US Women's Championship, all these good things going on. And so what happened in terms of why you don't hear about him or about, I mean, the foundation still exists. They do school programs and so forth, but why don't you hear about him? Well, the reason you don't hear about him is because what happened is that at a certain point they were running the events, they were doing a good job, but the United States Chess Federation got involved and they started trying to tell them what they could do or not do in regards to the US championships and certain other events, and like what the plans were. So there was like, then the USCF got involved and they pissed off another sponsor. So now you have like two separate examples where it goes the other way, where the day-to-day nonsense of dealing with them led to something else. So both of these stories, you guys, are self-inflicted. Now the reason this has not happened in St. Louis thus far, you know, fingers crossed, obviously, is because Rex Singfield does not deal with the day-to-day in terms of dealing with like the US Chess Federation or any of the other stuff. So that's why it's, you know, fingers crossed, it's worked so far. But just to tell you guys, that's two examples of where self-inflicted things were great. You had sponsors interested, and then you go and you shoot yourself in the foot. Let's go king f5 here. I've got a great king. Can't push the pawn. That's why this pawn structure is so bad, because of en passant. And I have rook c4 next move to attack the pawn on f4. Okay, we do the glitch move en passant, and now I'm up 2 pawns. But what I want to do here is, the rook is very passive. It's tied to a3. We've got this box here. So what I'm going to play next move is I'm going to go d4 with the idea of rook c3 check to exchange the rooks. Okay, he resigns. Let's keep going.